Welcome to the Leadercast podcast, a weekly deep dive into the stories that transformed our guests into leaders worth following. I'm your host, Joe Boyd. If you've been enjoying the podcast, thank you so much for being a listener. One simple thing you can do to help us out is leave a review wherever you listen. Today's guest is Rebekah Moon. She is the Vice President of the Greater Killeen Chamber of Commerce in Texas, and she's been a partner with us here at Leadercast for many years. I think you're going to really enjoy this conversation about how leadership is important in the local context and how someone like Leadercast can really help you out. Hi, Rebekah Moon. Welcome to the Leadercast podcast.
Hi, Joe Boyd. Thank you very much for having me.
I'm excited to have you. This is kind of fun for us. You've been a partner of Leadercast for a long time. Can you tell the folks just a little bit about what you do? What's your day job?
Absolutely. So I work for the Greater Killeen Chamber of Commerce. I'm the Investor Services Vice President. So we wear a lot of hats. I do communications. I do member relations, a lot of our website, you name it. I kind of have my hand in it. But overall, my goal is to make sure that we're serving our members the way our members want to be served. Every Chamber of Commerce is different. And every member is different. We don't need to be one size fits all. So we want to make sure that we're having those conversations and really helping our members.
Yeah, I'm so excited you're here because so much of our Leadercast base are chambers, and I've been running Leadercast here for 3 years, but it's a 22-year-old company. So I know a lot of chamber folks listen to the podcast and have been our strategic partners through the years, and you all have as well. So. Did you go to college hoping to work for a Chamber of Commerce, or did you have some other plan?
No, yeah. My degree is actually in intercultural studies. So traveling abroad, working with other countries is really what my passion still is. In fact, I wasn't entirely sure what our Chamber of Commerce did until a friend of mine was like, "Hey, you would be great at the chamber. You should actually go talk to them." And I love it. But yeah, never in a million years would I have thought, I'm going to work for a Chamber of Commerce, but it's a great gig.
What do you love most about it?
Something different every day. Great people. We have a fantastic team. There's people say that no 2 days at their job are the same, but that's so true. We're constantly working on the next thing to do for our members or for our community. We get to work with high-level people. We get to work with mom and pop shops. And just figuring out how to elevate everyone together. High tide raises all boats. That's exactly what we're here to do. We're helping to raise everybody. And a gentleman in our chamber used to say, the greatest power that we have as a Chamber of Commerce is the power to convene. So when we call a meeting, the right people show up because they know we're not going to waste their time. We're going to be intentional, and we're going to do what we say we're going to do. And so when we call a meeting where we need important people who have a lot of other things to do, they'll come because they know we're going to be intentional with their time. I love that. I love that
too. And it's humbling to know that some of the meetings you call are with Leadercast and to help people be a part of Leadercast. I will say I've had plenty of folks on the podcast that know about Leadercast and like it, and some folks have never heard of it and they're finding out about it with me. I've never had anyone have a Leadercast pillow over their shoulder.
It's amazing. So I got this from you guys. Thank you. You brought me out to Atlanta several years ago as part of an advisory committee thing, because very quickly our community loves Leadercast so much that our first year we hosted, we had over 250 people in the room, and that's not a normal circumstance. And so flew me out to Atlanta. I got to stay for the weekend, and this was part of my gift. I have a bag and I have a cup, and I feel super official. It's great.
I love the swag product placement. It's awesome.
Got to do our part.
So let's kind of jump into that. I've hosted about 70 or 75 of these podcasts since we relaunched it out of COVID, and we haven't talked much at all in them about actually Leadercast and what we do. But this is a great opportunity, I think, to just talk for a little bit with someone who partners with us, so that folks might know what that's like. So, can you just tell? I don't think I know the story. How did you first start working with Leadercast? Can you just kind of talk about how that came about and what role we played for you in the chamber?
Absolutely. So probably about 2016, a gentleman in our community, he's one of our local Chick-fil-A's. So Chick-fil-A had partnered with Leadercast in such a big way before, right. And he had always been a part of your previous simulcasts, part of a smaller team. And he came to me one day and he said, you know what, Rebekah, I don't think the team who's currently doing it is going to be able to continue to do it. I think the chamber would be fantastic at this if you guys are interested in jumping on board. And, I'd heard of Leadercast, but I hadn't really dove in to see what it was all about. So that's when the research started. I reached out and tried to find out if this was something that would really be a good fit for us or not. And for you guys, it needs to work both ways.
Yeah.
And very quickly we decided we wanted to be a part of it. We're all about building leaders and providing for our leadership community. So we signed the contract and haven't looked back since. We loved it.
So just a little insider baseball talk here for the folks listening. The Leadercast launched as basically a huge event, one-day event that was simulcast ultimately all over the world through partners. We called them host sites back in the day. We've kind of changed that terminology these days. But so your chamber was one of those sites that would simulcast our event that was happening live in Atlanta, but you were watching it in your town where you are with your leaders. And we still do that. We still have we call them presenting partners now. That's what you're called now. Because just so you know. So that's what you're partnering with us to present the content. And of course, we've launched Leadercast 365 at this point, which a ton of people access, the content 365 days a year. But these events are still part of our heritage and a little bit of the engine that drives who we are. So, but it's folks like you that let people know about us and kind of how it all works. So could you tell us a little bit maybe about those first couple experiences with Leadercast? What was it like for you? Don't hold back. If there were challenges, let me know about them. But what was it like?
Absolutely. It was fantastic. It really was. The biggest challenge I would say that we had was, we immediately in discussions internally, how many seats do we think that we could fill? Because initially that's how Leadercast was. We kind of like pre-purchased tickets for however many people. So we decided that we thought we could do 250. And so then you're looking at a venue and where are we going to be able to house 250 people? And some of those logistical things were a little bit of a problem, but we had a fantastic partner come in and say, you can use our facility. And they ran the audio visual because that's always a little bit of a if that doesn't work right, that's when people start getting upset, right?
Sure.
But they made sure the connections were good. Yeah. Yeah. And so then that was like number one thing for us. But after we stepped back from that, what we said was, what's gonna make people want to come to our event? What's gonna make them want to come sit in a room with us and watch a screen? Because that's really kind of what's happening, right?
Right.
They're going to want to say, and this was before COVID, so it's before anybody was doing the things from their desks. And so how are we going to make it special? So we really emphasized making an event out of it. So we made sure we brought in great food, we brought in great activities, all the stops, whatever we could make happen, that's what we wanted to do. And we're a chamber of commerce, so we love events where we can network, right? So however, if somebody came in by themselves, they didn't leave by themselves. They left as a partner of the group and growing their leadership journey that way. So that was one of our obstacles, but very quickly, people were leaving. This was fantastic. When is next year's date again? Yeah. They already wanted to put it on their calendar because it wasn't coming to watch a screen. It was an event. We made it special.
Yeah, I want to ask about that because one of our, to use a business term, one of our value propositions is that because we partner with so many folks like you, we can get world-class speakers to come to the event that most chambers probably couldn't afford, one of them. But because we all do it together, we're able to get a great lineup. There is always that concern that people would be like, well, it's not the same if they're not in the room, But from your experience, it's people sort of get lost in the presentation, and that hasn't been a factor for you so much.
That's 100% true. I'm not going to say I don't hear people say that before the event.
Sure.
Oh, we're going to watch a simulcast. Oh, the speaker's not really there.
Yeah.
Or people, think they're going to be on our local stage and said that would be amazing, but I can't afford them, right? So we're partnering with Leadercast to make this happen. You're going to feel like you're in the room with them, but they are going to be on a screen. So we want to make sure that there's no misconception when somebody gets there that they're not going to shake Henry Cloud's hand, right?
Yeah.
And if you want to come, Dr. Cloud, we would love to have you. But we want to make sure that misconception, we want them to understand what they're coming for. And then very quickly they realize this is amazing. And people don't want to get up outside of a break. They don't want to miss any speaker. And I hear them leaving going, that was fantastic. Who was your favorite speaker? Did you hear this person say that? We do some recapping on purpose with our local MC. And it's fantastic. It's not ever a problem when they're leaving. Nobody's disappointed.
That's awesome. One of the things we've just recently done is, you were right in that I think there was because Leadercast has been doing this a while, there were various ways of how we worked out the partnership. And for a while, you had to kind of guess how many people were coming and all that. But we've tried to eliminate all that now. So basically, you can have as many people come as you want, and don't worry about tickets. Just fill the room. My position has been over the last 3 years, the more people that get in the room, the better. So let's not put any barriers up to get folks there.
So several of our leaders in our community are so involved in Leadercast and want to be a part of it. One of our local hospitals has been a part every year, and the CEO asked me just the other day, Rebekah, when is Leadercast again? Because not only do they sponsor, they purchase more tickets than they get with their sponsorship because they send so many people. But he's one of them. The CEO of a local hospital takes the time out of his day to come and sit in our event and watch Leadercast all day because he sees the value of how wonderful it is. I mean, that's a fantastic opportunity. That's a fantastic testimony. That's like, if the CEO of our local hospital can clear his schedule to be there, I want to be there too.
It's so humbling when I think about the individuals that, you know what I mean? Like and how valuable a day is. And on all across the board, like a small business owner not working for a day to be a part of it. We have thousands.
It's hard.
We have thousands of people at NASA that watch it. I'm just like, it literally is rocket science. Like, you can't use that joke. So this,
is everything in space still okay? So that you're not watching it?
They're gonna watch this, then they're gonna go like run the space station or something. Like this needs to be worth it. It needs to be worth their time. So thanks for telling me.
And it is.
Yeah, I'm assuming you're hosting one here coming up. I think. Are you hosting it the first day it's available for our GOAT show?
Yes, sir. We sure are.
Yeah. So
we want to be, and that's part of the goal, is like, we want to be the first ones who can get that information that they couldn't have gotten it anywhere else. Like, first day available. It's great.
We've changed it a little bit now so that back when it first started, the simulcasting deal was like, it was like the Super Bowl. It was like in the 20 years ago, it was really hard to do that. So there were like these huge trucks with satellites and all sorts of stuff. And now, because of the world we live in, it's pretty simple to be able to do that. So we do have a day when the first day that everybody can show the event together, and a lot of people have to do it that day because people all around the world watch it together. But some folks show it other days. There's a lot more flexibility than there used to be, for sure.
And that's great, because sometimes the day might not work for us, but I love it.
I guess at the end of the year, when sounds like you're sort of on autopilot in the sense Leadercast has been great, and you assume you're going to do it the next year. But in terms of like metrics or trying to figure out if it was a win for the chamber or for the community, do you talk about that much of how Leadercast kind of helps you fit into the goals you have for your chamber and for the community?
Absolutely. So our mission here at the Killeen Chamber is providing vision, leadership and support to business and community leaders to create economic prosperity. Leadership. I mean, that's Leadercast to a T, right? So it definitely fits into our overall mission. When we're talking about the after event, a lot of things go into the metrics for it. So we have sponsors. We're all the time looking for sponsors. We have sponsors that as soon as we're finished with Leadercast, they want to sign up for the next year. We're looking at, we do sell tickets because, again, we need to create that event. Sure. We have so many more things going into it. So we have group rates, we have individual rates. We are also very fortunate to be right outside one of the largest military installations inside the continental U.S. We're right outside Fort Cavazos. Okay. So we also partner with them to get the word out for professional development for the soldiers. So we have a military rate, we have a student rate. So we try to be very intentional and make that a low threshold so that everybody can join. We just want to make sure that we're providing a great day for them as well. So we look at all of those things. Of course, we also look at things like making sure when we're bringing in our businesses, we do some things with some in-kind sponsorships as well. We also try, again, Chamber of Commerce, right? Our biggest thing is how many members can I get in front of you? So you're not going to have one caterer all day. If I'm going to provide breakfast, I might have somebody who brought the food and somebody who brought the drinks and somebody else who brought something different. Yeah. And then we're going to have a different snack at lunch that's provided by somebody hopefully you've never heard of before, because I want you to go, wow, I didn't even know they were in the community. I want to go back and have that later. Right. Lunch is going to be the same scenario. There's probably 3 different vendors who make lunch happen. We have an afternoon snack. We have presenters throughout the time, and everybody's different. So we look at some of those in-kind sponsorships, what we've had to pay. Of course, we want to make sure that we cover all of our costs. And then how quickly do people re-sign up for the next year? All of that goes into how successful we feel the event was. We do, like a good chamber, also send out a survey. What would a Chamber of Commerce be without it? How was your event? What could we have done different? And we try to build on that every year.
I'm sure you're networked somewhat with other chambers around the region. What anything you would say to folks that are considering partnering with us? What would you say to them?
Do it. Don't hesitate.
This is an unpaid interview, by the way, but thank you for saying that.
You haven't asked me this question, but one of the things that I love most about partnering with you all is the team. You have a fantastic team of professionals that help make the process so easy. We've done it for years, but still sometimes I'm like, what about? And I can just email very quickly and say, did I miss this? Or how does this work? Or can you give me something a little bit extra? And very quickly they respond. And sometimes it's with the answer. And sometimes it's give me a minute. Let me figure that out with the rest of the team. Right. But your team is top notch. They're always on. They're always great. And they want all of our success. Sometimes in the past, even like event day, maybe we have I've had a little bit of a hiccup internally that I need them. Mm-hmm. And on event day, you don't expect them to pick up their phone because I know they're behind the scenes. Like they're making the magic happen. And very quickly they'll respond and be like, check it now, Rebekah, it should be working. I'm like, you guys are amazing. So I didn't sing their praises enough.
Well, that's great to hear.
What you guys provide is the portal. Make it easy for me. You provide stuff that I can just slap my logo on and put out, or that I can build my own thing using your logos, using your branding, so it all matches, but it fits where I need it to in my website or on my whatever else that I'm doing, which I think is very important.
I really, of course, appreciate you saying that. Couldn't agree more. I would get to work with the team every day, so they're killer. And here on the podcast, producer Mo gets all the love because she's always behind the camera. Hi, Mo.
Hi, Mo.
But there's
Sarah has been my point of contact for years too. Sarah's the best.
Yes, Sarah's amazing. Yes, Sarah, you're amazing. I want you to record this part of this podcast and put it on your computer forever. No, we have a little. It's changing a little bit in the logistics these years. Like I said, we're transitioning a little in how we record our event. But there's a little war room that folks like Sarah sit in during the event, and they're just making sure that they can solve anyone's issues that might be happening. Because, there's always a technical thing here or there that people need to talk through or whatever. And if I poke my head in there during the day, they yell at me to leave. So that's the one room I'm not allowed in. They're all busy. They're like old-timey operators that are like putting plugs in different things. Like they're just solving problems. And they just tell me to go on stage and smile.
They've got it. Well, you can trust them because they're taking care of it.
Absolutely, for sure. So I just wonder personally, so I was a fan of Leadercast long before I ever even imagined I would work here. And my previous company made a lot of the video content for Leadercast for the last 10 years, which meant we got to always go to the main event, and we got to interview all the speakers after they spoke, and it was a ton of fun. But I have definitely had moments through the years that kind of snuck, for me, I was always working while I was at Leadercast, so I wasn't even fully involved as a participant often, but I would still be listening and have a moment or two that to this day, I can tell you the one or two or three things someone said that actually made me think differently. I'm curious about you personally, when you think back to the folks you've heard, if you had a speaker or a moment participating in Leadercast that maybe has changed you as a leader.
That's a great question. So many of your speakers are just phenomenal. And the ones that I find that resonate with me the most are the ones that I did not know before.
Right.
Dr. Cloud is always a win. He's just so incredible and knowledgeable. And I never want, nobody whisper in my ear when he's on stage, right? I want to hear what he has to say. But a lot of times it's the speakers that you bring that I try to Google or I try to find out a little bit more information, and I haven't found that. And I walk away just blown away by what they've had to offer. Off the top of my head, specific moment, I can't, because so many of them are just so very good.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you said what you said, because I think, there's very few details that I am involved in where it's my responsibility to get it done on a day-to-day basis. But one that I haven't released is the booking of the speakers, because it's so important to me. And I have people that help me figure it out, of course. But at the end of the day, that's one of the like very specific tasks that I wanted to keep, because it's so important, and they represent our brand, of course. And I can say it's such a joy, because I can sense a little. Sometimes people are nervous, like, I've never heard of this person. Are they going to be good? And like, they're going to kill it. I was like, you watch, because we do surveys too. I was like, they're going to be top 3. I promise you. Super famous names and faces that people recognize are certainly interesting, and it gets folks interested and want to come. But it's always the folks that people, the new people that they just discover, that tends to light up the surveys.
It really is. Jeremy Kubicek, who you had on last year, with the Peace Index that he did, I'd never heard it before. The way he presented it was so down to earth and so specific. And that's something that we've incorporated in multiple of our programs. I went back and shared it with my husband, because he's involved in like a military foundation that they work with veterans. And I was like, you guys need to be doing this too. So it's pretty phenomenal how just listening to somebody can help change even the programs that we're doing here. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
And I'd never heard of Jeremy Kubicek before, but now right off the top of the tongue.
Well, what's crazy is you probably should have heard of him, because he's the man that built Leadercast. He's started it basically and grew it. And thank you so much for doing this. I know some people are probably feeling this feels like a commercial, but we just don't talk about ourselves very often, and we have a really great thing going here. And we wanted someone that has been a steady partner of ours. The fact that we've been able to serve you, and you're so happy with what we've been able to do, and the big reality that Leadercast would not exist. This podcast wouldn't exist. I wouldn't have this job. None of it would be here if it wasn't for the legacy and the continued support of the chambers and other folks that help us get it to the world. So I just want to thank you for being a part of that.
Our pleasure. Thank you so much for doing it. It makes offering leadership and professional development so much easier. I can't imagine not doing Leadercast.
That's great. Awesome. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, Rebekah. Thanks for being our partner, and hopefully meet in person someday soon.
Absolutely. Thanks, Joe.